WADR, promoting dialogue.
It's midday in Dakar and 1 p.m. in Port Novo. Good afternoon and many thanks for staying tuned to West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and around the world on WADR.org. Welcome to Newslink. Here are the top stories. A 72-hour strike in protest of the arrest of a trade unionist in Mali paralyzes the nation's financial and oil sectors. The Burkinabe army acquires new military hardware with the support of the population to better fight against insurgency.
This is the first delivery of 4 batches. We have about 18 to 20% of the material. The rest is yet to come. It is really the effort of the Burkinabe population, and that always requires enormous financial efforts.
The Niamey-Port Novo diplomatic rift deepens as security forces in Benin arrest 5 Nigerian senior oil officials. And far north of Côte d'Ivoire welcome thousands of Burkinabes displaced on the borderline due to the terrorist threat on the occasion of the African Borders Day. Stay with us for details of these stories and more.
Here is Abdullahi Hassan with Newslink.
Many thanks for joining us and welcome to our listeners in the Gambia, Ghana, Liberia and Sierra Leone. We begin this afternoon with stories from the Sahel where development from the financial sector to security and bilateral relations intensify. But first, let's head to Mali where the financial and oil sectors have been paralyzed by a 72-hour strike in protest of the arrest of a trade unionist, Hamadoun Ba. Ba, the Secretary General of the National Union of Insurance, Banks and Financial Establishments and Commerce of Mali, SINABEV, and Deputy Secretary General of the National Union of Workers of Mali, was arrested on Wednesday for forgery and the use of forgery and other charges. The strike, which began on Thursday, has affected banks and gas stations across the country, with many businesses closing their doors in solidarity with Ba. SINABEV says it denounces Ba's arrest and detention, which it claims is a result of a political vendetta against him. Tisu reports.
Ba's arrest came after he was suspended from his union activities by SINABEV, which accused him of embezzlement and other financial irregularities. However, Ba has denied any wrongdoing and has claimed that his suspension was as a result of a power struggle within the union. The strike has been met with widespread support from the public and other trade unions, with many calling for Ba's immediate release. The government has also been criticized for its handling of the situation, with some accusing it of using the courts to silence political opponents. In a statement, SINABEV said that the strike was a defensive measure to protect the rights of its members and to demand Ba's release. The union also called on the government to investigate the circumstances surrounding Ba's arrest and to take action against those responsible. The strike is expected to continue until Saturday, when SINABEV plans to hold a mass rally in support of Ba. The union has also called on its members to boycott all government services and to refuse to pay taxes until Ba is released. The situation in Mali remains tense, with many fearing that the strike could escalate into violence if the government fails to address the demands of the unions.
Tisu with that report filed in by WADR's Bamako correspondent Aliu Cham. And the Burkinabe presidency has acquired new military hardware to strengthen the nation's army and improve its efficiency in the fight against terrorism. The batch of equipment handed over to the army by Transitional President Captain Ibrahim Traore Thursday includes armored combat vehicles, weapons, ammunition, and military engineering work equipment such as excavators, truck carriers, and tanks. At the handing over ceremony, Captain Traore directed the Minister of Defense and Veterans Affairs, Brigadier General Kasum Koulibaly, to ensure the training of the crews to effectively use the sophisticated equipment. In response, General Koulibaly affirmed to carry out the orders and continue to supervise operations to protect the territory.
Il s'agit de passation de 3 contrats avec 2 sociétés.
It is about signing 3 contracts with 2 companies. This is the first delivery of 4 batches. We have about 18 to 20% of the material. The rest is yet to come. It is really the effort of the Burkinabe population, and that always requires enormous financial efforts to support the efforts to reconquer and especially to acquire material that accompanies the reconquest of the territory. We pray to God that this continues. And again, on behalf of the Supreme Leader of the Armed Forces, I would like to thank the entire Burkinabe population, those unknown or not in the existing circuit, finance the support for all the FDS, for all the BDP, and all the other anonymous fighters.
Pour l'ensemble des VDP et l'ensemble des autres combattants anonymes.
The Burkinabe Minister of Defense and Veterans Affairs there, General Koulibaly speaking. Now, Burkina Faso says it has spent around 600 billion CFA francs so far on military hardware purchase. Across the border in Benin, authorities have announced the arrest of 5 Nigerian nationals, including Mumuni Ibra Hadiza, the Deputy General Director of WAPCO, Niger's oil company. They were seized by security agents at the Senegal terminal where Niger's oil is shipped to China. According to the special prosecutor of the Court of Repression of Economic Offenses and Terrorism in Benin, the 5 arrested Nigerians presented themselves as officials of WAPCO. Now, WAPCO is a Chinese company in charge of exploiting Niger's oil, which transits through Benin. Here is Mario Metonu, special prosecutor of the CREAT.
Des personnes se sont frauduleusement introduites.
People fraudulently entered the site of the WAPCO terminal station Benin in Semekoji. Investigations were carried out on site. They found out what followed. 5 Nigerian refugees entered the site without disclosing their identity. Instead of taking the main entrance and registering at the gate, these people preferred to use a stolen entrance located at the back of the site. In each of these maneuvers, they benefited from the complicity of the General Administrator of WAPCO Benin to justify this fraudulent entry into the site. The stakeholders indicated that all of them were WAPCO Niger employees, and they stated that in this quality they did not have the obligation to register at the gate. Such justification is inoperative because of the sensitivity of the site to the current situation. The investigation formally established that at least 2 of these people are Nigerian agents at the service of the National Council for the Protection of the Nation, CNSP. These people have confessed that the circumstances of the fraud of the WAPCO Nigerian employees. The investigations continue to determine the real motivation of the cases in a context where the information is a state of planning to breach the security of the state of Benin.
Font état de la planification d'atteinte à la sécurité de l'État du Bénin.
Mario Metonu, special prosecutor at the Court for the Repression of Economic Offenses and Terrorism in Benin.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Remember, we're live on wadr.org and on Facebook at WADR English Service. Let's take you to Niger, where the authorities in Niamey are not taking lightly the arrest of its senior officials in Benin. Niamey was swift to respond Thursday evening with a threat to suspend the export of crude oil through the same axis. At a press conference in the Nigerian capital, the Minister of Petroleum and Justice denied the allegation by the Beninese authorities. A more added has on this report by WADR's Niamey correspondent Murtala Zubairu.
The Nigerian Minister of Petroleum took the floor first to explain the reasons for the arrest of the Deputy Director of the Chinese company WAPCO in Niger and 4 of her colleagues by the Beninese police. Mustafa Bakire is Niger's Minister of Petroleum.
He says,
Ces équipes étaient arrivées au Bénin régulièrement dans le cadre de leur mission.
These teams had arrived in Benin regularly as part of their mission. OCAO had been informed and had informed the Beninese authorities. Just as when the Beninese Minister for Energy and Water came to Niger, we were informed by OCAO, Niger, of their arrival. Although we welcomed them like the brothers they were in Benin, our compatriots were questioned and arrested by the authorities.
au Bénin, mes compatriotes ont été interpellés et arrêtés par les autorités.
The Minister of Justice, Aliou Dauda, denounces the violation of several clauses of the contract binding the two countries within the framework of this project. He says,
Le Bénin s'est engagé à permettre à l'État du Niger de recruter.
The Benin has undertaken to allow the state of Niger, acting on its own behalf or on behalf of a human agent, to have access to the facilities. But by excluding the Nigerian party, the Benin is in breach of the provisions of the contract.
Le Bénin viole les dispositions du contrat.
Recall on the 1st of June, the Beninese authorities deployed police officers to expel representatives of the state of Niger on a permanent mission to supervise and control the loading of crude oil at the port of Senegal.
Imo added with a report filed in by WADR's Murtala Zubairu in Niamey. Over in Côte d'Ivoire, the far north of the country has welcomed thousands of Burkinabe displaced on the borderline due to terrorist threat facing Burkina Faso. On the occasion of the African Borders Day, the National Borders Commission of Côte d'Ivoire brought together stakeholders to strengthen peaceful cohabitation. The village of Togbo, located on the border with Burkina Faso, hosted the event, which aimed to raise awareness on issues related to border management and promote cross-border cooperation among indigenous and non-native populations. Nadir Tete has more.
The National Borders Commission of Côte d'Ivoire, CNFCI, held a meeting in Togbo, Côte d'Ivoire, to commemorate African Borders Day. The event focused on strengthening cross-border cooperation, social cohesion, and peaceful cohabitation at the borders. The prefect of Bukani region, Yakubu Doumbia, emphasized the importance of the day in view of the current context of the sub-region, marked by significant security challenges. He highlighted the influx of asylum seekers fleeing conflicts and persecution in Burkina Faso, which underscores the need for solidarity, hospitality, and ensuring the safety and well-being of populations. He called on all actors involved in border management to live together in peace, solidarity, and shared prosperity. The executive secretary of the CNFCI, Diakalidia Konate, announced that the theoretical route of the Côte d'Ivoire-Burkina border has been 75% adopted. He asked populations to be patient and avoid any action that could undermine social cohesion in their border area and to trust the two states to achieve the definitive adoption of the border route without incidents. The spokesperson for the local population, Da Koko, requested the construction of the sub-prefecture, a gendarmerie brigade, a point to water their animals, and the improvement of the quality of the telephone network. African Borders Day is commemorated on June 7 each year.
Nadir Tete with that report. More on human security, the Borno model, a comprehensive approach to addressing humanitarian crisis developed in Borno State, northeastern Nigeria, prioritizes community engagement and participation, integrating humanitarian and development responses, and strengthening local governance and institutions. The model also emphasizes empowering local communities to take ownership of their recovery and addressing the root causes of instability and conflict. In an exclusive interview with WADR's team, the Deputy Governor of Borno State, Omar Usman Kadafur, the Commissioner for Women Affairs in the state, Zuwaira Gambo, and the General Officer commanding GOC 7 Division of the Nigerian Army, Brigadier General Abubakar Haruna, discussed other components of this initiative, which is now a template adopted by the United Nations.
When the idea of Borno model was first proposed by Babagana Umar Zulum, Governor of Borno State, the epicenter of the Boko Haram insurgency, there were mixed reactions. This was largely because many people only looked at the aspect of reintegration and very little attention to other vital components, as explained here by the Deputy Governor of Borno State, Omar Usman Kadafur, who also doubled as the chairman of the Borno Model Implementation Committee.
It's not a simple process. So we have to, screen, have data, and also after that, you have to, do a psychosocial support for even those who are part of the insurgency in a way whereby they are forcefully encrypted. Because at the end of the day, you have to prepare their mind before even reintegrating them back to the site. One. Number two, you have to have the consent of the community first to accept even these people who are not perpetrators and even the perpetrators themselves. But the perpetrators themselves, you have to use the transitional justice system. And that is what we are still working on.
Commissioner for Women Affairs in the state, Zuwaira Gambo, and the General Officer commanding GOC 7 Division of the Nigerian Army in Maiduguri, Brigadier General Abubakar Haruna, speak further on the need for the Borno model.
When there is any kind of crisis, women and children are the most vulnerable victims. And it's the same case here. Even before the mass exit of the repentant insurgents, most of the internally displaced camps have been occupied by women. There was a need for a stakeholders meeting to be convened by the governor because we were in a catch-22 situation.
People have to understand, you need peace. You have to bring the other party to that peace table. You have to make him belong. How someone says, because one part of your arms is rotten, you just slice it up. No.
The Borno model for peace, reconciliation and development, a non-kinetic approach, has been adjudged by the United Nations Development Programme as successful in addressing the humanitarian crisis in Borno State, and it is being replicated in other regions. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, Usman Umar reporting from Abuja.
You are listening to Newslink here on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Here's a reminder of our top stories. A 72-hour strike in protest of the arrest of a trade unionist in Mali paralyzes the nation's financial and oil sectors. The Burkinabe army acquires new military hardware with support of the population to better fight against insurgency. The Niamey-Cotonou diplomatic rift deepens as security forces in Benin arrest 5 Nigerian senior oil officials. Far north of Côte d'Ivoire welcomes thousands of Burkinabes displaced on the borderline due to the terrorist threat on the occasion of the African Borders Day. Still ahead in the news, we have the guest interview and sports update. Please stay with us.
West Africa Democracy Radio. It's you speaking.
Many thanks for staying with us. Judicial cooperation and the promotion of mutual legal development between Ghana and the Gambia continue to flourish as the country's Chief Justice swears into office and formally inducts a distinguished Ghanaian judge, Justice Sarah Aye. The arrival of the new High Court judge in Banjul is expected to shore up the number of judges and expedite the hearing of court cases in the Gambia. From Banjul, Sankle Janko reports.
A distinguished Ghanaian High Court judge, Justice Sarah Aye, has been formally inducted into the Gambian judiciary. The ceremony held in Banjul on Thursday was presided over by Gambia's Chief Justice, His Lordship Hassan B. Jallow, who expressed delight at the arrival of Justice Aye.
She comes to us with an established and renowned reputation for discipline, for diligence, for integrity, and for the highest standards of professionalism and competence. We look forward to her leadership putting those qualities to the service of the Gambian judiciary and to the administration of justice.
The Gambia's Chief Justice hopes the arrival of the Ghanaian High Court judge will help expedite the hearing of court cases in the country.
My Lady Justice, you joined the Gambia judiciary at a time of continuing public concern at delays in the hearing and determination of cases. And I'm so glad that your first words today on your presentation are about speedy justice, about effective justice. We must all be sensitive to this public concern.
The newly sworn-in Judge Justice Aye pledged to uphold the principles of justice, integrity, and impartiality.
I am passionate about integrity and the delivery of quick and efficient justice. Speedy, efficient, and prompt justice delivery is my mantra, and I hold great belief in the saying that justice delayed, justice denied.
Justice Aye, who replaced her compatriot Justice Ejapong, served as a High Court judge in her native Ghana, demonstrating her expertise in banking, land litigation, arbitration, family law, and commercial cases, among others. This appointment is seen as a significant step towards enhancing the judicial cooperation between Ghana and the Gambia, promoting mutual legal development, a pledge to strengthen the justice system and foster regional cooperation. For Newslink and West Africa Democracy Radio, I am Sankula Jenga reporting from Banjul.
Guinean nationals living in Liberia, particularly in the Boni Town region, are facing a dire situation as the Liberian authorities have given them a 10-day ultimatum to regularize their stay in the country or face arrest, imprisonment, or repatriation. According to reports from Guinea, a citizen named Mamadou Salou Jallo spoke to a media house about the ordeal faced by his compatriots in Liberia. Jallo revealed that he was arrested and imprisoned on June 6, 2024, along with 6 other Guineans for allegedly lacking the necessary documents to live and work in Liberia. In his testimony, Jallo explained that Liberian immigration police conduct daily arrests demanding papers from foreigners. He stated that the authorities often disregard ECOWAS documents which are valid for travel within the region. Jallo and his friends were forced to pay over $700 to secure their release from prison.
Politics, analyses on major news, social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
This segment takes us back to Nigeria, where the Borno model, a comprehensive approach to addressing humanitarian crises, is being developed in Borno State, northeastern Nigeria, and prioritizes community engagement and participation, integrating humanitarian and development responses, as well as strengthening local governance and institutions. The model also prioritizes empowering local communities to take ownership of their recovery and addressing root causes of instability and conflict. Our guest, the Deputy Governor of Borno State, Omar Usman Kadafur, in an exclusive chat with WADR, speaks on components of this initiative that now is being adopted by the United Nations.
The federal government itself has set up, the Operation Safe Corridor, managed by the military under the Office of the Chief of Defense Staff. And they were handling cases of the DDR too. But when we set up a committee as a state, we have to liaise with them because already they have facilities to manage, the insurgents, not the surrendered insurgents, those who have been, arrested by the military. And our own case is a different case from theirs because our own is the insurgents are surrendering to the state directly. So we have to engage them, the SSS, the police, and other agencies, so that they will be part of the whole process because you have to screen them first if they come. And if you are screening the insurgents, you have to involve the traditional rulers or their religious leaders so that they are the people to identify them in their locality. Yes, this person belongs to so community, yes. And also, they knew their level of involvement in the insurgency. This is the only way you can identify a person who is, forcefully encrypted, or a person who is, a farmer, or a person who is an insurgent, who is, a fighter. And in this process, we have to have data of those who have participated in the insurgency, those who are forcefully encrypted, and also we have to do it based on gender aggregation. So at the end of the day, we know number of unaccompanied children, women, widows, and the married insurgents themselves. Some of them have 2-3 wives. So like the Chibok girls now, some of them have, different husbands. Maybe after their husband died, they remarried them to, another insurgent. So at the end of the day, you can see a Chibok girl now coming out with 4 to 5 children. At the end of the day, all of these children are fathered by different fathers. So this is, it's not a simple process. So we have to, screen, have data, and also after that, you have to, do a psychosocial support for those who are part of the insurgency in a way whereby they are forcefully encrypted. Because at the end of the day, you have to prepare their mind, before even reintegrating them back to the society. One. Number two, you have to have the consent of the community first to accept even these people who are not perpetrators, and even the perpetrators themselves. But the perpetrators themselves, you know, you have to use the transitional justice system, and that is what we are still working on. All of them are still in holding with us, but most of the people integrated back are those who are, we call them farmers, forcefully encrypted, like the widows and unaccompanied children, for example. But the major perpetrators are still in holding because we have to look at the justice system. And also, even if they themselves, when you tell them that they should go back to the community, they will not even accept it without, you know, coming up with a reconciliatory committee.
That was Omar Usman Kadafro, the Deputy Governor of Borno State, Northeast Nigeria. Up next is a sports update with Sankule Janko.
Hello there, warm welcome and thank you for joining us. A late equalizer by the dangerous Fiston Maele salvaged a point for Leopards of Congo against former African champion Senegal away from home. Ismail Assar had given Senegal what looked to be the winner, but a good fight by DR Congo, so they make an impressive comeback to escape with a point. Jordan Ayew was the hero of the evening for the Black Stars, as his goal in referees' additional time saw Ghana produce an impressive comeback to hold maximum points away from home against Mali in Bamako. Kamoru Doumbouya's 58-minute strike looked to have given Mali the win, but an Ernest Wama's leveler as well as Ayew's late winner, so the Black Stars secure a vital win on the road according to CAF official website. Guinea put their FIFA World Cup ambitions back on track in style with a vital 2-1 away win at the Nelson Mandela Stadium in Algiers against Algeria. Motai Sila's 58th-minute goal alongside Agibu Kamara's 63rd minute strike was enough for the Guineans to stun the former African champions in their own backyard. Benin's held on to an important 1-0 win over Rwanda in a result that blew Group C wide open. The result sees Benin tied on points with Rwanda, who still occupy first position ahead of the big clash between Nigeria and South Africa on Friday in Oyo. And the Pharaohs of Egypt got off to a flying start in Cairo thanks to an early brace by Mahmoud Trezeguet in the opening 10 minutes. Lassina Traore got the consolation for the Stallions, which was not enough as the Egyptians held on for the win that saw them secure their third win in as many matches and continue occupying the driver's seat in Group A. And that's it for sports. It's back to you.
And with that, we've come to the end of this edition of Newslink here on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Krista Mukidi and Mustafa Sek for the technical support. Do interact with us via social media platforms, X, formerly Twitter, Instagram at WADR News, and on Facebook, WADR English Service. We also stream live at WADR.org. Do join Alpha Abubakar at the top of the hour of 1 p.m. for the second edition of our comprehensive news packet in French and Fushefu. I'm Abdullahi Hassan. Good afternoon.
And many thanks to you for listening to Newslink via Hot 104.3 FM, Newmi FM 94.0,
Hilltop Radio 104.7 FM,
and Veritas Radio 102.9 in Banjul, the Gambia. We also appreciate our listeners in Liberia via Alternative Youth Radio 98.9 FM, Lofa County,
Radio Kagama 94.5 FM, Niba County, DCN Radio 91.3 FM, Riverside County, Wakat FM Radio, Banga, Liberia, Radio Gulf FM 91.3 Sierra Leone.
For you listening via Radio Pad 95.1 Damango, Savannah region, and on Royals FM 104.7 Wenchi, Ghana, we say a big thank you. Remember, West Africa Democracy Radio is all about you, your views, and your opinions.